What does that mean?
It means buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
We need the outlet for our rock tumbler.
Plug it in!
What, the rock tumbler or the TV?
The TV!
And as for you, I don't know you, but I'm sure you're a jerk. Hey, I've only been here a few minutes. What's going on?
By the powers vested in me by the Federal Communications Commission, I command you to get on the microphone in a serious manner and continue this broadcast.
Get a podcast.
So why don't all you little idiots press your faces up against the speakers and blow your brains out?
Hey guys, Ken Reels here. I am not Mike the Birdman, but welcome to Random Access Memory, TWIG's whatever podcast, where we talk about anything that comes to our minds, and usually we have some general topic, and this time we did a little more research than we normally do. The idea is actually my idea. I am obviously not Mike the Birdman. Mike could not be here for this recording, but I am joined by Anime Donaldson.
Hi, Ken.
And yeah, so if you didn't already read the title of this is kind of the idea of making an 8-track. And if you are old farts like us, or even older farts like you might know what an 8-track is, you might not. Basically, an 8-track was which was a little cassette that could hold 8 tracks of music.
It wasn't an imaginative name for the medium.
Yeah, it was not. It was very, very straightforward. So I had the idea, let's kind of modernize it, obviously, and make musical playlists that kind of represent us. Like, what would we put in an 8-track to kind of represent us as a person, our taste in music, our personal philosophies in some cases of what I've at least what I've pulled. And like in general, Adam, what's kind of your relationship with music in general? Just kind of give a little introduction, as it were.
I'm not a music person. I did pretend to be a music writer for a couple of years. When I was right out of university, it was one of my first paying journalism gigs. So I don't have a wide-ranging, extensive knowledge of music and genres and things. I can get by conversationally, but by and large, because when I grew up, the radio was still a big thing. Because I live in Canada and grew up in Canada, have what is called short CanCon. So, because America is so dominant in most media spaces, there are rules in Canada that a certain percentage of the music that you hear on Canadian radio has to be Canadian. And so I was exposed to a lot of at the time when, as a teenager in high school, maybe smaller bands and one-hit wonders and things. And so those have always kind of stuck in my memory. I'm so old, I still have an iPod, an actual iPod that I still plug in and load music and things, and I still use iTunes.
I transferred away from iTunes a very long time ago, mostly because iTunes on Windows is a absolute bloated mess.
It is, but because I had so much stuff collected over the years, not just if I bought off iTunes, but things I had ripped from various CDs I own and may not own anymore.
A chunk of my library is, I still have some older music in my library that is from iTunes, and I've pulled from purchases and whatnot from iTunes, but also I've gone and ripped a bunch of stuff. Some CDs I still own, some I don't.
Well, I still have CDs too, but I don't have nearly as many as CDs as I.
Oh no, not anymore. Like I have maybe
CDs, yeah.
Yeah, I've maybe
they're no longer prominently displayed in one of those like kooky like CD racks that like are like shaped like a wave.
Yeah,
one of those.
I mean, mine's literally in a drawer. I'm not kidding. It's hidden in a cupboard kind of thing. So
yeah, I have them in a tote. That's in the storage cupboard. So yeah, it's yeah, like again, I'm not a music guy, so I mostly remember music as being more of a thing like when I was a teenager in high school, and this includes things like Much Music, which like MTV hasn't played music videos in decades now, and there was a show on YTV called The Hit List, which featured a Toronto DJ who everybody quite liked, named Tarzan Dan. It's kind of a character. Things like the Much Video Dance, which was went around to like junior highs across Canada. It was like Much Music, like canned VJ prattle and all the latest videos. So that's kind of how I remember music. So I'm kind of like stuck in the 90s perpetually in terms of musical tastes. Although I'm that's not the extent of my musical experience, but just in terms of like what I like to listen to and just to keep busy. And
but again, like
in the background.
There's a general thing with music. Like your taste in music gets developed in high school.
Sure.
And like early college, like in your late teens to early 20s, your taste in music becomes solidified, and that is the music you will listen to for the rest of your goddamn life. And as far as I know, people I know, like, yeah, that's the truth with me even as well. Like, that's the music I listened to when I was in high school / college. That's the music I listen to now. I mean, I obviously expanded my selection of artists and whatnot. There's still music I go back to even from high school. Some of it is very bad. I'm not afraid to admit I have music sitting in my music library that is quite bad. Or quite poor. Or quite okay. Like it's passable.
Sure.
A lot of it is like, oh God, did I listen to this? Really?
I mean, I think there's a lot of that. Like when I was cleaning out my mom's house, there was like boxes in the basement of like CDs that, like, because my sisters had moved out years and years ago, and anything they didn't take with them was in the basement, and in the basement was people may not recall, but the Backstreet Boys did do a Christmas album.
Yes, they did.
So that was
I was one of those kids. I was one of those kids. I'm not kidding.
Christmas album or Backstreet Boys?
Backstreet Boys.
Okay, and, I mean, hey, this is the thing. Hit List was one of the first like mainstream in scare quotes outfits that like recognized that there was something to the Backstreet Boys. There's a lot of, I don't know if they're on YouTube or anything, but there's a lot of like, this is like 97, early 98, before the Backstreet Boys break out. But like Tarzan Dan was like, these guys, the Backstreet Boys, something here that I think everybody should check out. And Canada, I'm proud to say, though the Backstreet Boys themselves are from Florida, Canada was an early adopter to Backstreet. Backstreet was never came back. It was always here.
Yeah. I mean, for my personal taste in music, like music has always been a huge part of my life. Again, my current music library sits at, 972 albums, encompassing just over 100 gigabytes of uh, music. Yeah, I have a massive music library. Some of which I will try to keep for the rest of my life because some of it has been delisted.
Yeah.
Not kidding.
No, that's the other thing too. It's like, this is true of any streaming media, like can disappear. It can go into the black hole or into the vault or on the hard drive that's never hooked up to internet or whatever. And yeah, I have a couple of songs like that too that will never probably be allowed back into the wilds of Spotify because of the artist who recorded them and things that they did that had nothing to do with their music.
Heck, when I went to go kind of hunt them down on YouTube Music, which is obviously a competing streaming service, but I kind of prefer YouTube Music in terms of algorithm stuff. Some of the albums that are on Spotify are not available on YouTube Music.
That's right.
Like they don't exist at all.
Yeah.
Which was weird, but it's like, I mean, you pulled from one of the band's greatest hits on Spotify, and I just was able to find it on the original album. And like the greatest hits album isn't on YouTube Music for some stupid reason. I'm like, really? You would think the greatest hits album would be on there, but no.
That's kind of the whole. I mean, it's not the whole point of the streaming music, but I know on Spotify, like a lot of the big bands have like the essentials. I think it's called the essentials playlist, where it's like you get 20 tracks, which is like the big hits or the well-known songs.
Usually, that's kind of what a greatest. It's like their top 10 or something.
Just what a greatest hits album was. It was like, you like this band, you like all this stuff here on the radio, but you don't want to listen to the whole albums of the other stuff. Well, here, have this. It, so it does. Yeah, that seems a bit weird, but there's also a lot of weird rights things with a lot of Canadian media. So.
Yeah, I mean, like there are a couple of artists where they've changed like record labels and whatnot, and like certain versions of their record are the studio or the old studio, and some of them are the new studio, and that was really confusing at one point. I'm a big fan of Coheed and Cambria, and they switched record labels at one point, and one of their big album at the time, the Afterman duology, that one had two different listings when they switched record labels. So
interesting.
The old record label still had their listing, but the new record label had a different listing. And obviously that was probably for like 6 months or not even at the time, but like I had seen it at that point. Like there's two listings for this. What the heck?
Yeah, and if you're not aware of that beforehand, you know it's kind of confusing. Taylor Swift is probably the best well-known example of that, but a lot of bands do that because ownership of one's music is everything.
And there's a band on my mixtape that had an issue. It took like almost a year for them to get a American record label to release their stuff legally here in the States. Here in North America in general. I mean, now with streaming, it doesn't really matter. But at the time, it was, I was avid in trying to get it legally as possible. Of course, I pirated it at first, but when it was actually legally available here in the States, I ended up buying it. But with that, I think we're going to start off. The way I wanted to do this is we're going to go 2 songs apiece and then go back and forth that way, just for everyone listening. And so I'm going to start off. The first track on mine is Steve Winwood's Higher Love. This song, very specifically, is a huge connection with my mom. This is one of her favorite songs. And genuinely, I love this song too. And it also made me incredibly jazzed when I went to go see Bumblebee, and this version of Higher Love started playing, because usually it's the Whitney Houston version that plays a lot more often. But this version is what played in Bumblebee, and I was so jazzed. I was like, holy crap, you never hear this version played anywhere. And I give huge props for that to be put in like a major motion picture like Bumblebee. And it's a good version of Higher Love. I mean, it's the original it's the original version of Higher Love, obviously. But obviously Whitney Houston's version is ultra popular. A lot of people have covered it. There's a couple of artists, a couple of independent artists that I know have covered it. More the Whitney Houston orchestration of it. But they're all very, very good. And I no ill will to the Whitney Houston version. I just like this version better.
I'm the same with the Dolly Parton I Will Always Love You. I always prefer that one to the Whitney Houston one.
And the second track on this list is a little bit of a story, because this is Gravity Hurts, and this is the Brinnick version of Gravity Hurts. That is the vocalist on this, by Cryoshell. Now, Cryoshell is a very specific band. This band was formed to promote Bionicle. I'm not even joking. This is a band. This is a Finnish band that was made to promote Bionicle. And this is one of the earlier tracks that they used to promote Bionicle in the commercials. And this track really, really sticks with me, especially lyrically. Like, I can sing this by heart. And I absolutely love this. Love this because it's about like rising up and just flying out into the absolute unknown, and it really sticks with me. It really, really sticks with me. But yeah, no, that genuinely is. It's genuinely one of my favorites. It's one I will always go back to, and it also has a slight connection because back in the day, I made a very bad video that is obviously wiped from existence on the internet because of copyright bullshit. And that was a very bad abridged series for one of my favorite series, Dragging Out the Resonance. And there were some jokes in that I do remember that were very, very good and very poking fun at the series itself. But I used Gravity Hurts as the like OP track, as it were. And those lyrics specifically kind of fit very, very well with Dragonaut and its story and its themes. in a very weird way. And like Dragonaut the Resonance, like the whole point of the series is there's like these aliens that are just called like they're called dragons, but they're literally aliens from an asteroid that destroyed Pluto.
Sure.
And they've come to Earth to invade Earth, as it were, but the military has kind of weaponized them, and they now bond with humans, and the two of them basically fight the evil versions of the dragons that are slowly coming to Earth and invading. And then the whole thing is that one of those invading dragons, Toa, bonds with some random dude, Jin, and he ends up getting embroiled in this whole thing. And did I mention that the dragons turn human? Because the dragons turn human, and because of course they do.
Important detail.
Because of course they do. And guess what? They're big bouncy bosomed women, or incredibly horny men. Like, I'm not kidding. The men are also drawn incredibly hot. So it's like, okay, it's an equal opportunity kind of show. It really is an equal opportunity kind of show. It's one of those anime series that's very, very, it's very mediocre for the most part, even on rewatch, but it just holds a special place in my heart kind of thing. And Gravity Hurts really reminds me of that show, not only because of me connecting it via that very bad video, but just lyrically it kind of matches sort of the themes and whatnot. So Adam, what do you have on for your first two on this little 8-track?
Yes. I put almost all Canadian acts from the 90s. Well, they are all from the 90s. One of them, it turned out, wasn't a Canadian act, but I stuck it on here anyway, because I associate very closely with Hit List, which was very big when I was in high school. It is a track called I Wish by an artist named Skilo. He was kind of a one-hit wonder in the mid-90s. This was the era of, it was after Tupac and Biggie were both killed, but it was an era where gangster rap was very much the vanguard of rap. Skilos does not rap about any gangster stuff in I Wish. It is very mundane. It is, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who did it. I would call her. And it's very it's very from the point of view, I guess, of someone who's a bit dorky and a bit nerdy, but it's a rap song, so it's cool. And it just kind of sticks with you. The lyrics, it's very quotable. And I guess because he was a one-hit wonder, it's one of those, like, whatever happened to him? I guess one of the reasons why I was confused about Skilo being a Canadian rapper, number one is it's very radio ready. It's not not explicit, but it's very radio ready.
It's like a middle ground between something like it's like a mix between Will Smith's like very PG and like a hard R.
Yeah,
like it's like a PG-13 level of rap. If that makes any sense.
No, I think that's perfect. Perfectly encapsulates it. It's it's rap, so your parents are going to hate it. I mean, this is, again, being a teen in the 90s, your parents did not get rap. Even the benign, relatively benign stylings of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, or to use the Canadian example, Maestro Fresh Wes. It was safe rap, let's call it that. Again, I one of the albums I still have, one of the CDs I still have, is one of the hit list compilations that was put out, and Skilo is on there, which is, I guess, again, why I kind of associate with Canadian music. I was like, oh, but he's from Riverside, California. Again, safe area of California. It's like Riverside isn't like high crime area, but it's not like one of the shishi areas of California. It's right in the middle.
At least he's not pretending to be gangster.
That's
He's being true to himself.
Yep. The second track I chose is Wild Strawberries number called "I Don't Want to Think About It," and it's kind of, I remember the video for this especially because it's kind of trippy. It's got this like 60s kind of like musical interlude on Laugh-In kind of feel. Wild Strawberries are a duet from Canada, Roberta Carter and Ken Harrison. They've been married. There are a lot of Canadian like musical marriages, I have to say, and this is one of them. Not one of the most well-known ones, but this is kind of like post-grunge. It's a little bit alternative, but it's still kind of radio safe. Again, it's like it's got trippy, it's got this like really great hook. It's just enjoyable.
The thing that I pulled from your tracks were they were very lyrically strong.
Yeah.
Like you're very much into something that is lyrically strong. Like, I like when artists use like super like if an artist uses a 3-syllable word in a song, that's usually a sign that I'm gonna kind of enjoy it, because it's not something you typically hear. You don't typically hear like 3-4 syllable words in songs, because those are really hard to like fit into a musical rhythm.
Yeah, I do like, I like the art of writing music, mostly because I suck at writing poetry, and it's kind of like, it's not just like it's not just like there's a poetical quality of it. You have to make it fit a beat. And I guess being a longtime news person, where the quality of writing doesn't allow for much, let's call, artistic flourish. You have to get like points across in a very like straight, direct way. I do find the art of songwriting very appealing, because it's just it's a kind of writing I just can't plug myself into. So yeah, I appreciate that observation, and I do also like the rhythm of this, the trippiness of this song in particular, and like the use of like weird string instruments too. This was like the height of like Ashley McIsaac, who was like fiddler, and would he's from the east coast of Canada, where the fiddle is kind of more of a big deal, with kitchen Kayleys and things like that. So it's kind of like a middle ground. Again, it's kind of sensible Canadian middle ground stuff, where it's like we're taking little bits of everything and putting it into this one thing called the Wild Strawberries. So there's a lot going on, and I'm also appreciative. The Wild Strawberries are still out there. They are still making music. But certainly it's not the base level of infamy they enjoyed in the 90s. So let's call it a tribute to forgotten bands, the forgotten Canadian bands.
So the next two tracks on mine, the first one is a daily anthem by David Cook on his first title album. David Cook was one of was a winner of American Idol, and he was one of the last. He wasn't the last, but he was in the second. He was one of the second to last winners in the Simon Cowell era, and he was also one of the. He was actually one of the last artists that Simon Cowell, midway through the show, said, "You're going to win everything." And he was right. Simon Cowell was correct pretty much every single time when he said someone was going to win it, go all the way and win. And David Cook's styling, he's more traditional rocker. And this album, this track specifically, was a huge part of my high school life. It's just about living your day to day, taking all the stuff you've learned in life and reapplying it to tomorrow. And again, like honestly, this self-titled album by David Cook is probably one of my most played, not only in high school, but something I continually go back to and play on loop. It's very comforting, very comforting album, and I think A Daily Anthem kind of encapsulates kind of my general philosophy on life, where it's just like I'm willing to take everything day by day, but I always want to try and reapply some lesson or something I'm doing and reapplying it to tomorrow. And that leads into the next one, which is actually more thematically associated, because that's Lord Vessel by Tanuki Suit. And this song quite literally is the story of Dark Souls 1. It is a lyrical translation of this story of Dark Souls 1, and this is one of those tracks that I ended up finding randomly, just like listening to Dark Souls inspired stuff. And this hits so hard, but it also explains the entire story of Dark Souls very well, and actually kind of makes it really interesting. And you're just like, oh, this is actually the story behind Dark Souls, and kind of all these different characters and the journey you take to uncover all of these little mysteries and interactions of these characters and what happened to them, where they are now, and whatnot. It really hits home, and I mean, like, Dark Souls kind of brought me back into the realm of games that are hard, like incredibly hard, but rewarding when you beat them. And like, whenever I'm kind of in the mood to listen to something a little harder, obviously this song is a little more of a harder rock to it, and it definitely sticks with me out of all of Tanuki Suit's work. So
video game references are going over my head. So just if I'm with you, but they're going over my head.
Yeah, you will. You don't. But it's also a song you don't necessarily need to know Dark Souls to understand. Like, oh, this is a cool story. Yeah. I like all these elements, and the story it's telling. And I think that's kind of what makes me like a lot of nerdcore stuff, where it's like, it's not necessarily, if you know the context, it's a great song, but if you don't know the context, it's still a great song.
Okay.
And I think that kind of highlights that element.
All right, yeah, my next two. This is the Winnipeg portion of the list because it's two artists who are from Winnipeg. First is Crash Test Dummies, which they definitely had their moment in the 90s. It was a band that started as a bar band. It's one of these bands that's sort of like built piece by piece until it becomes the thing. And that's very much what the Crash Test Dummies were. Chris Riddell and Brad Roberts in Winnipeg, they were, doing a little bar band, making money doing some shows, and, very slowly it's like, well, do we want to be silly, just doing covers and playing Friday nights at the pub, or do we actually want to, say something with our music? And, they added Ellen Reed and Benjamin Darville along the way and became the Crash Test Dummies. And their breakthrough album, not their first album, but their breakthrough album, God Shuffled His Feet. There's a lot of most well-known songs are from that album, but the one I chose is Swimming in Your Ocean, which is kind of a romantic song. But I mean, what it really exemplifies is by, the Brad Roberts just deep voice and the way he kind of chews on the lyrics, of savoring them. I love that voice. The way he can, there's songs like Peter Pumpkinhead, the Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead, the full title of the song, Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead, which is just silly. It was on the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack. And I believe Jeff Daniels was in the video for it as well. Wandering around somewhere, I think he was wandering around Toronto anyway. You can probably find the video for that pretty easily. But so it can the Brad Roberts voice can be used for something silly like that. It can be used for something kind of more serious, like which is a song on God Shuffled His Feet, which is about people experiencing the worst times of their lives and doing it in essentially hiding that from the other people around them, and how that it cannot be hidden because these traumatic things sort of have a weight to them that people who are empathetic can understand. There's also a great Crash Test Dummies Christmas album, in which they do the first. Brad Roberts does the first Noel, and it's both it's like
that voice on as first Noel. That's an interesting. That would be an interesting sound. That would be an interesting sound.
It's like someone coming to your door, and it's like, oh, it's carolers, and it's like, wow, this person really has something. There's that quality to it too, but it's also kind of we're just hanging out and having fun on Christmas morning and just singing some songs. Swimming in Your Ocean is the one I chose. Again, it's kind of romantic. It's kind of like one of those songs that you would get.
It's half silly, half romantic at the same time.
It's a silly kind of romance. That's right. It's wearing it's like showing up at your girlfriend's on Valentine's Day, but wearing the tuxedo t-shirt. It's a special day and we're going to do special things, but I'm only going to pretend I'm wearing this Pharisee of the idea of dressing up. So I do like that. And for something a little more, I guess, standard, Chantal Kreviazuk, who is also from Winnipeg. Her big 1999 album, Color Moving and Still. I just went with Before You. It's kind of a romantic song. It's a little more straightforward, but it's a little boppy. It's a little more celebratory. It just makes me feel nice. It's a nice feeling song. I don't sing along to it, but I imagine people can, because I do not have a great singing voice. So it's just one of those feel good songs. You know, she's done a lot of ballads and things, and I'm always kind of fascinated by like the artists who do like kind of the deep soulful ballads, and when they like I this is why I kind of love Celine Dion when she started doing English music and started hitting big. There's a song she did, Unison, that's kind of like a dance track. I'm not sure how big it was in the United States, but it was pretty big here in Canada. Never went back to like, I'm gonna do dance, and maybe that's like a creative choice in her part. And she was never. This was kind of like purely like, I am selling myself as an artist to try and do the music I want to do. I am fascinated with the things that sort of go against what we know an artist for, and Unison, in the case of Celine Dion, is one of those, and I think For You is also one of those. You know, we're more familiar with the Chantal Kreviazuk ballads than we are sort of the little more poppy and a little more peppy songs. So
it's the word folk comes more to mind when I listen to this track. He's
very folk, yeah.
And you have that like folky, and like the folky element kind of like encapsulates a lot of your mix in general.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Like it makes sense because folk music was very lyrical driven. It's like a very lyrical driven genre. So it does make sense that you're attracted to that.
Should I do my Edward Norton as Pete Seeger impression from?
Please don't. But on a completely different note, the next track on mine is Hiding in the Dark with Andrea Storm Caden. And this is a Favel track. Favel is a nerdcore rapper. And he has such a unique voice to him. He has this very, like, it's like half screamo, half rap voice. It feels like he's burning his throat every time he's rapping. And obviously that's not the case. I can genuinely, it's just like teaching yourself how to do that kind of stuff. And you just kind of teach your voice how to do that without like completely killing it. A lot of times it's like you either drop it an octave or go up an octave or something like that. Usually that helps. But yeah, this track, Hiding in the Dark, is a track that encapsulates the general adversarial relationship in Berserk. One of the most prolifically, like just in general, it is one of the most prolific stories in manga, period. And it's also just how the relationship between both Guts and Griffith and their adversarial bits, and how the pursuit of the whole point of Berserk is the pursuit of revenge, and you get to learn why this pursuit of revenge is happening. And it gets dark. It gets really, really dark. It goes into some really dark places. And obviously, if you don't know, the creator of Berserk, Miura, he passed away before he was able to finish it. However, there are notes of how to finish it, so his team has gone and to continue it to its inevitable conclusion. Obviously, that's not necessarily the conclusion we would have gotten if Miura had finished it. The way I like to think of what we're going to get as the ending of Berserk, it is an ending. It is not the ending. The ending is the ending that we want to make for ourselves. And I think, in a way, an anticlimactic end to this saga of revenge is the way I would have wanted to have it go. But this track has such a great lyricism, obviously, from Vavel, but also the vocal stylings of Andrea Storm Caden doing more of the doing like the chorus is absolutely like her voice is just makes it stand out way more compared to Vavel's other works, and I absolutely love this track in general. And then obviously, like, when I was building this mix, I kind of wanted to have good transitional balance while you're listening to it. And like I have when going from like Lord Vessel to this, it was like a very hard rock going into like a hard rap with a more melodic backing track. And then as Hiding in the Dark, which goes into a fade out, I fade in to Amber and Rain by Caleb Hyles from his album In One Breath. And Amber and Rain is so much me, it's not even funny. It's like that. The idea of Amber Rain is just like I am hard as rock, but I'm also incredibly in tune with my emotions, and I'm always looking for others, and also just like the romantic side of me, but where it's like we're only as good as the people who are a part of our lives. And it just sticks really hard with me lyrically, and Caleb Hyles has just some of the craziest vocals. That man can hold a note so long, like the first note hold is like at least 30 to 40 seconds long. It's a long hold. And the only way I am able to do it singing is by specifically adding a very harsh breath before that long note. Like, it is harsh, and like and when Caleb's doing it, like it's flawless. Like, you can't tell if he inserted a breath there, because just how lyrically that goes, you're going through this very lengthy soliloquy, and then you have that last note, and you're just holding it for so long, and it is incredibly difficult to sing this song. And credit to Caleb. Caleb is a fantastic singer. He is easily one of my favorites in terms of his covers, and knowing how his voice works and just how versatile his voice is, because he can go super, super high and he can go pretty darn low. And it's obviously on this mix for a very good reason.
Yeah, I always appreciate the art of singing because I can't, and I will never hold those notes being a lifelong asthmatic. So it's the lung capacity. I mean, the greatest disappointments in my life is that I couldn't play the like the bass, the brass instruments, like the trombone or the trumpet. Like that's like, yeah, that seems like a really cool instrument to play, but I can never make my mouth work the way it needed to.
Yeah, you see, like
those instruments.
Genetically, I have a concave chest, so I'm not even kidding. And I think because I was so active as a young kid, I don't have the issues that a lot of people have when they have concave chests and have to get like surgery to fix it or whatnot. I never needed that as a kid because I was so active. I basically trained my body to just deal with it in the silliest way. Like my body just has learned to deal with the pressure that comes with having that that little medical condition.
I don't know how I'm going to launch off of concave chest, but I guess I'll just move on. My next two songs are kind of rocky, although one of them is also kind of country. They're both Ontario bands. One is Blue Rodeo, which is the country one. It's a little bit country, a little bit rock. And the other is the Tragically Hip, who I imagine is fairly well known out beyond Canada. Blue Rodeo a little less so, but it is pretty well known band in Canada. This is from their 1992 album Lost Together. What I like about these songs is they're good meandering songs. Like if I'm out for a walk, I'll listen to music. They're both effectively about like an innocent type of love, or an idealized type of love, a perfect type of love. But they're also, I find, kind of forward looking as well, which makes them nice for like just being out and moving around with. Lost Together was during the COVID-19 pandemic, was part of the Great Canadian Songbook that was put together by CBC Radio at the time. So these are also kind of like examples of like music when I was younger and getting into music that have sort of stood the test of time and are still in regular rotation. Ahead by a Century, of course, is like one of the Tragically Hip's biggest hits. But it also became very, I guess, symbolic of Gord Downey's cancer struggles, and when it was clear his cancer was terminal, and the Tragically Hip went out on their last tour. Ahead by a Century was the last song that they played at the very last Tragically Hip concert, the very last one that Gord Downey performed in. So it's weird, this like sort of forward-looking song about like the innocence of youth and first love, and it also has this bit of finality. It'll never be like this again, and I think that's why it's like it was the show closer. Literally and figuratively for that last Tragically Hip show. Also, interesting trivia note, the day Gord Downey died, Ahead by a Century was the most played song on Canadian radio. So I feel like this whole list is CanCon. Ahead by a Century is like the most CanCon. It is emblematic not just of a band, but of a state of mind, of the quality of Canadiana. because Gord Downey and his the heroic final years of his life fighting cancer and persevering in the acceptance of his fate, indeed the fate of us all, that it becomes something a little more powerful than just a great song. It has that
It's a
statement of
It's a song that creates a legacy.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So it comes out in '96. After the album Trouble at the Hen House, which was kind of like the Hips' breakthrough album. They had done, I think it was their 5th album overall. So they had been at it for a while, but this is the breakthrough. And yeah, I don't know if there was like people will still be listening to this song 30, 40 years later, even after there is no more Tragically Hip. But perhaps it wouldn't be the song they would choose, but it speaks to like you're not always in control of your legacy, and sometimes you must own the legacy that comes out of you, and Ahead by a Century becomes that for the Hip. It's just there's a real interesting journey for the song, and so much as the song also inspires journey. As I said, it's good meandering music, as is Lost Together, which is another one of those figurative and literal things, because you can walk out and get lost as you're listening to Lost Together, but as I have maybe once or twice.
So the final 2 tracks on mine are a pull from Recreators, which is slowly becoming one of those anime series that I have become infatuated with and will forever love. Too bad it is not available legally to stream anymore. Thank you, Amazon. And thank you, Aniplex, for just pulling the license and not putting it anywhere else, even though Sony owns Aniplex and they own Crunchyroll. There's no fucking reason why it's not on Crunchyroll. Whatever.
This took a turn, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. But Recreators is specifically a reverse isekai about characters from fiction coming to our world and battling for basically the fate of our world, because their clash is causing the entire world to fall apart. Our world to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this song, which is God of Ink, which is composed by Hiroyuki Sawano, who is one of my favorite composers, period. Like, just period. He's an absolute awesome composer. He's done a lot of big name stuff. He's done a lot of smaller stuff. Recreators is one of his smaller works. But I think a lot of people know some of his tracks from Recreators because it is readily used for like anime music videos and shorts and stuff. So he's very... You know Sawano. If you're in the anime world, you know Sawano's music, even if you don't know his name. And this song is lyrically, it's done by MPK, who is what I like to lovingly call Japanese Phil Collins. Because the man has a voice like Phil Collins and dresses just like Phil Collins back in the day. He's very trench coaty, just a weirdo. Very weird man. But he has this beautiful melodic voice, and mixed with Sawano's English lyrics is so interesting. And like, this is all about being a creator, building building your world and all of the repercussions of creation and kind of more the downside of being a creator in a modern society. And again, that works into the themes of Recreators, where it shows the darkness of being a creator and putting your work out there in the world, especially in a internet age, and how that will bring jealousy, that will bring rage and anger, but at the same time, it's the only thing you know how to do. It's the only thing a creator knows how to do is create and build. And that's the true meaning of everything, is you can't stop creating because that's who you are. And it hits home, and it's why I love Recreators as a series, and this track is a complete encapsulation of that thematic bit. And Sawano is always good at adding motifs and theming into his music based on whatever show he's working on, or movie or whatnot. Every project he ends up incorporating some element of the story into the lyrics, and when you might not necessarily hear the lyrics fully in the show itself, but when you go in and listen to the track itself, or listen and read the lyrics itself, you start to realize, oh, there's actual layers to not only the music in music terms, but also lyrically as well, in terms of what you get out of it. And the final track, which I wanted to kind of end on a high, and a more like anthem kind of song, it's Divide Music's To the End. And Divide Music is an artist I've been following for at least 5 years, 5-6 years at this point. He's very much in the nerdcore scene. This is one of more of his original works. He was actually commissioned to do this for a esports tournament. But he also reconfigured it in terms of when he released the music video for this. He released it more anime themed, which is what he primarily focuses on. And I think Divide Music is one of those artists where you could play this on the radio and no one would understand it's based on an anime. Like any single one of this man's tracks would play on the radio and you would go, this is a banger's track. I had no idea this was associated with an anime.
I also wanted to end strong, which is why I chose like two real rock tracks for the last two. Had to have East Coast representation, East Coast canon representation, which is why Sloan is on here. From Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's kind of Music City, and well, there are a lot of cities that are Music City in Canada, but if you're thinking about East Coast, Halifax is definitely Music City. And Sloan comes out of there. This is probably, if not their most well-known song, one of their most well-known songs. It's ubiquitous in sort of Canadian culture. It was used for beer commercials. I think it's now being used in iced tea commercials. They're a Fuse. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Fuse, iced tea. Still getting a lot of mileage out of Sloan.
I think they rebrand. Foos got rebranded recently. It's freaking weird. Yeah,
no,
it's a Coke.
It's still on the shelf.
It's a Coke brand.
Okay.
It might be up in Canada. It's still called Foos, but down here it's just a They rebranded for some reason. I don't know why.
Is it Foos or Fuse? Fuse seems a little French to me. Okay.
I think it's Foos.
Okay.
At least that's how I've always said it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay, we're on the same page. The other one is a little less well known. Mother Earth. Their track "One More Astronaut," which they're an alt band that was. I think they are from Toronto as well. Yeah. This is like a period of like alternative music where it's like post grunge. It's like trying to go back into something a little more rocky, or rockish, if you will, less grungy. We're trying to go hard. I think a lot of people think One Mother or I Mother Earth is is kind of a like a metal, like not metal, but like a hard rock band. I'm not sure it's a hard rock band, but it's definitely alternative rock.
The way I like to say alternative rock is the middle ground between rock and metal.
Yeah.
So you have elements of both that are mixed in.
Yeah, and I think the tricky part is like One More Astronaut, which I think is their biggest song. I remember because it came out on Big Shiny Tunes, which was a compilation Much Music put out of like they had Much Dance, which was like EDM stuff, and then they had Big Shiny Tunes, which was more alternative, more rock. And so this was included on the first Big Shiny Tunes, and it's I think it's the first track on the album too. So it's like this big, bold, very rock, and I think One More Astronaut goes a little bit more hard than some of the other songs on that album. So it's feels bigger somehow, and of course it's One More Astronaut. It's about. It's not about space exploration, obviously, but a lot of the lyrics are very much pushing towards like desolation and isolation, and you're being really loud about it, and it's just like if you're in, it's one of those like mood songs where it's like teenager and you feel like you're not being understood. One More Astronaut really hits you because you feel alone, you feel isolated, you feel like an astronaut in your spacesuit in your room or in the basement, and nobody gets you. And I Mother Earth sort of lets all of that out of the box. Again, Money City Maniacs, it's a little bit sort of typical Sloan. I think it's a song probably everyone in Canada has heard 50 times, even if they don't know its name. But Sloan is one of those like iconic Canadian bands too that I think you can't have, because the 90s were kind of when they launched. Yeah, you can't have a list of 90s Canadian bands without a Sloan track on it. So I picked the most obvious Sloan track, and I mean that's not to say it isn't a banger. I think it is a banger, but yeah, it's just like this is the music I kind of enjoy. The music that I want to be distracted. And, if I'm in the middle of, pounding out one of my newsletters, and One More Astronaut comes on and you just start doing the head bob and you're in, I don't know if I Mother Earth I was ever in a situation where there was a mosh pit. I'm sure they were, but, just, get the head going, get the blood flowing. And I think that's where I wanted to leave things on this compilation. It's like, yeah, we have fun reliving great Canadian songs of the 90s. Let's go out on a high note.
Yeah, again, you have a very specific taste, and you can kind of see the through line as you're listening to the tracks in full. And again, we're going to put both these playlists down in the show notes so you guys can listen to them yourselves. Obviously, Adams has some extra tracks on there as well, just because. So if you want to have a little more in-depth deep dive that we are not necessarily doing because we want to keep this episode short-ish. I mean, this episode's already pretty long in general, but we want to keep it a little. We don't want to. We're
not Joe Rogan, is what he's saying.
We're not Joe Rogan. We're not going to spend 3 to 5 hours just talking. 2 hours and we're pushing it.
yeah,
but,
for sure.
But yeah, honestly, I was really interested in listening to this. Hopefully, we can come back and I know Mike had already built one. Maybe Adam, maybe David can build one as well, and we can all join up and break down their 2 mixtapes as well. That would be an interesting take. Just having some extra voices in there. But yeah, again, both of these playlists are going to be in the show notes, and we highly recommend listening to them, and also just checking out some of the artists on these playlists as well. And yeah, that's going to be about it for this random access memory. Thank you again, Adam, for joining me on this duo kind of episode. And
thank you.
Yeah. Where can the people find you? By the way.
Oh yeah. I am at Adam A. Donaldson. Don't forget the A in the middle. Adam A. Donaldson on the socials. So you can find me on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Insta, you name it.
And you can find me at Ken Reels pretty much everywhere. And that's going to be it for this RAM. Join us next time when we talk about something else random. Have a good one, guys.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.